On this channel, we really hate the tortoise known as Pravin. But Byron, apparently in the last 5 years, he's been working on a radical new plan for state-owned enterprises.
Yeah, so apparently the state-owned enterprise model, which they're calling it, is like a stakeholder model, whereby they allow the private sector to have an ownership in state-owned enterprises. And what they can then do is raise capital through the private sector in order to fund these public sector departments. Apparently, this is a model that's been done in Malaysia to quite some success, and Gordon's been working on it for 5 years, and he's now ready to implement this in South Africa, specifically in relation to Transnet and Eskom.
So this is how it works. All the state-owned enterprises will be under one big company. It is called the State Asset Management Company. That company is then listed on the JSE, and then you and me and anyone who wants to can buy shares in that company. So basically, Byron, this is privatization by stealth.
All those SOEs will effectively be owned by the entity, but not run by the entity. They will be, if you call them, assets under management. Now, would you know who's actually going to be the manager? Well, Gordon is going to be under, obviously, this new company. He's going to run it because he's no longer going to be head of public enterprises, because that department will cease to exist. Difficulty comes in. How do you actually go to those companies and then hold those companies accountable in terms of their spend and the corruption and the rest of the bullshit that goes on? Because remember, these are managed assets.
But also, it leaves a lot of things up in the air as well. I mean, if the government can still decide who are on the board of companies, who the suppliers of those companies are, how procurement is done, the price at which they're allowed to sell their services like NERSA does with Eskom, it sounds like a really crap idea to buy into these companies should they be listed on the JSE. I don't know if the government has thought this far ahead, where they want the private sector to sort of erase the debt of Eskom and capitalize Transnet and all the rest of it. But how on earth they can get a return if the government is still controlling all of those particular companies, especially through the boards?
What will probably happen is that the shareholding will sit with this new company that Gordon wants to create. The difficulty with that is that obviously that company, if it's buying, let's say it's owning the assets, you're buying a share of that business, you're going to want a dividend. Otherwise, what exactly are you investing in? In order for you to get a dividend, that entity, the company that you're buying shares into, would need to get dividends itself from its assets under management, which would basically mean that parties like Eskom have to basically run at a surplus and then provide the surplus to the management company to dish back to stakeholders or investors on the JSE. I can't see that running, mate, because I don't know of any state-owned enterprises out there that actually turn a profit. So in terms of shareholder value, I don't really know what the shareholder value would be in buying these shareholdings. Yes, it's a great way to raise funds, but I can't see what it would be, what there would be in it for the shareholder. Why would I buy it?
So interestingly, what do we know now? 1, the ANC can't run state-owned enterprises. 2, the ANC doesn't want to hire, competent people to fix state-owned enterprises. 3, the ANC wants to hold on to the lucre of state-owned enterprises, and therefore, number 4, the ANC thinks that privatizing them through stealth like this is the way to actually do it. Again, like we said in videos of the past, the ANC is completely out of ideas, even though the most obvious ideas are the ones they refuse to choose for some reason.
The ANC refuses to choose those ideas because it doesn't match its ideology. And if the ANC chooses those ideas, it basically has to rip up its ideology and basically become the DA.